start out with 3-count bout. You can choose from 9 different characters in this wrestling game. Like most, if not all wrestling games I play, I don't feel like I have very good control over the characters, so I tend to not like wrestling games at all. It's cool that some matches are on the streets instead of inside of a boring ring. I like the sound a lot in this one, but it's still a wrestling game, so no thanks. "2020 Super Baseball." This is also sometimes called Super Baseball 2020. No matter where you place the 2020, this is an excellent game of robo-baseball. It's the future year of 2020, and COVID has wreaked havoc on the world. Due to social distancing, we need to have robots play our baseball games for us. Okay, they're not all robots, at least not entirely. This one adds some new rules to the game, like different zones on the field which have an effect on the ball. This is good, but it's not my favorite baseball game on the system. ADK World. This is a Neo Geo CD exclusive game that was only released in Japan. Basically, it showcases all of ADK's Neo Geo titles with some information about them. There are even some mini-games to play. Aero Fighters 2. This series is also known as Sonic Wings. This vertical shooter is a sequel to the original game, which was its own arcade game and also appeared on the Super Nintendo. You can choose from a bunch of different pilots, including a dolphin. The action is pretty standard, but it's not bad. The stages themselves are quite short, and you always want to see the next one. I like some of the things my dolphin says, like how he'd never thought he'd be frying over a jungle. The music and sound is all in mono, but it's plenty fine. Overall, it's a decent shooter. Aero Fighters 3. It's another vertical shooter, of course, with some slight visual upgrades. The destructible environments are still here, thankfully, and so is the dolphin character. Overall, it plays fine, but I think that Aero Fighters 2 was slightly more interesting. I'm not sure what the genre of music is that's in this game, but I can't say that I'm much of a fan. Aggressors of Dark Combat. This is a one-on-one fighting game where you can move your characters up and down, which means you have a jump button. You tap the button for a light attack and hold it for a strong attack. Sometimes items will be tossed into the ring for you to pick up and use. This one can be pretty tough, but at the same time, it's decently fun. I really like the colors, but the sound isn't anything special. Alpha Mission 2. This vertical shooter is a sequel to the original, which was in the arcades and on the NES. Honestly, it's nothing special, and it has a strange power-up system that I've never been thrilled with despite owning this game for like nearly 20 years now. You sometimes have to open a menu and select things, then you're powered up, but only briefly. The game puts just as much emphasis on the bombs you drop on the ground as the shots you fire. The graphics may be some of the most bland on the console, but some of the music is pretty good. Andro Dunos. This one is a horizontal shooter. It's much better than Alpha Mission 2 by leaps and bounds, but I'd still be upset if I spent $250 on this one. The Genesis already had better and more impressive shooters by this time, and actually on the Super Nintendo came out the very same year. Still, this one controls smoothly and you can cycle through 4 different shooting styles similar to Hellfire. This is a good $35 to $40 game, but of course this version goes for over $1,000 now. Art of Fighting. Here we have the first true one-on-one fighting game in this episode. Gotta warn ya, there's gonna be a few more before we're done. This one is definitely rough around the edges, but it's still fun and it looks great. It zooms in and out as the fighters get further away and closer to each other. I love the artwork and color in this one, and the sound is fun too. Too bad you can only choose from 2 players in the single player mode. Art of Fighting 2. This one lets you select from a bunch of different characters in the single player mode. Besides that though, the game is pretty much broken. The CPU has absolutely no mercy at all, even in the very first round of the game. This means the developers had no clue how to balance the gameplay. I absolutely regret buying this game for $60 or so 15 years ago. Art of Fighting 3, The Path of the Warrior. This one came out 2 years later. It's definitely a better game than Part 2. The graphics now more resemble an animated cartoon with less detail but more frames. The control seems laggy as I feel sometimes I have to wait for the characters to respond to my move inputs. There also seems to be a lot of stun time when your character gets knocked down before they can get back up. Nice try, but this game doesn't elevate the Art of Fighting series out of mediocrity for me. Bang Bead. This was only ever available on the MVS. This game is basically fancy Pong because that's what the Neo Geo needs. You have to destroy your enemy's barrier of stars and then make a goal. Needless to say, it's quite difficult, and the awful music doesn't help. A rather mediocre effort from Visco. Baseball Stars Professional. This was one of the launch titles for the system and is still one of my favorites. It's a fast-paced game that showed off what the Neo Geo could do at the time. Even if you hate sports games, this one is still fun. It has exciting music, tons of voices, and sometimes voices on top of voices. Even the graphics and animation are great for their time. The AES version has more voices during the selection screens. Baseball Stars Professional is just a great time all around. This is my favorite baseball game on the system.
It's a well-hit ball that should be in there for a single. That ball is sharply hit. That should easily roll for a double.
Baseball Stars 2. They tried to make this follow-up more exciting, and in many ways they did. The action is now a lot more frenetic with flashing colors and split screens. It plays just as well as 2020 Super Baseball or Baseball Stars Professional. However, it just doesn't have the charm of the first game. The players all seem huge, roided up, and angry for some reason. Plus, the music is quite awful. It keeps saying Baseball Stars 2 over and over. This is tied with 2020 Super Baseball as my second favorite baseball game. Blazing Star. This is an impressive horizontal shooter that was released when the Neo Geo was 8 years old. The graphics are something special for sure, with a lot of them being pre-rendered. The action is smooth and fun, and each of the ships you can choose are enjoyable to control. The sound and music are both great despite the game being entirely in mono. However, the voices can get a bit annoying, though some will say that it just adds to the charm. Blues Journey. Here's one of the very few platformers on the system. It's also one of the most colorful games. If you weren't convinced that the Neo Geo had a ton of colors, this will change your mind. It's kind of weird seeing characters this small in a Neo Geo game though. You can even shrink at will, though this is a bit underused. The boss fights are fun and sometimes pretty tough. Still, overall it's not bad, and the English in this game is fantastic. Breakers. This is a one-on-one fighting game from Visco. This was only available on the MVS. It might not look like anything special, but the control is smooth, fast, and the moves are very fun to learn. You have a light and a hard punch as well as light and hard kicks. Everything feels very responsive. Don't pass this one up just because it looks like a run-of-the-mill fighting game. Give it a try. Breakers Revenge. This is an update of Breakers. You have a new character and can play as the final boss now as well. There's been a bit of rebalancing as well as a few minor graphical changes here and there. Either version is a simple but fun game. Burning Fight. This is a somewhat average beat-em-up. It can't compete with the likes of Final Fight or Streets of Rage, but that doesn't mean you can't have some fun here. I like how a lot of the environment is destructible. The control is decent as well, and that helps me not to hate it like some people do. Try it out. Bust-a-Move. Taito even made a few games on the Neo Geo. This one is also sometimes called Puzzle Bobble. This one makes you shoot colored orbs into the playfield. Match 3 and they disappear. Watch out though, as everything is slowly moving down to crush you. This plays well even though it's not really my type of game. The presentation is very simple. Bust-a-Move again! This is sometimes known as Puzzle Bobble 2. This is basically more of the same in puzzle mode. There's also a versus CPU mode where you both play at the same time and try to beat each other. It makes me like the game less, but fortunately the regular puzzle mode is still here. Captain Tomato. This MVS-only game is a unique vertical shooter. Mind you, unique doesn't always mean good. You're a tomato and you can attack with your left and right fists. If you punch with one side 3 times in a row, the other side gets powered up for one punch. You have to completely stop shooting in order to collect power-ups, which I find annoying. This also bothers me in games like Twinbee. The graphics are nice and cartoony, but the sound effects are very shrill when the enemies fly in. If you can't hear high frequencies anymore, then it might not be so bad. Chibi Maruko-chan Deluxe Quiz. This is a quiz game on the Neo Geo. There are actually several. Answer questions using multiple choice answers. Super fun. No wonder it stayed in Japan and also only on the MVS. Crossed Swords. Here's a game where you play as a wireframe knight who hack and slashes enemies in a third-person view. Sometimes you can power yourself up in a shop. It does tend to get a bit repetitive, but it's still enjoyable. I always find myself wanting to continue. Crossed Swords 2. This is a great sequel that was only available on the Neo Geo CD in Japan. It's better in every conceivable way. You have 3 different characters to choose from, the stages feel bigger, and the enemies look a lot better. The music is better as well. A fantastic sequel for sure. Cyberlip. This was a very early run and gun. For its time, it's pretty good. I always love the first boss in the game and the music that plays as you fight him. This one hits its peak here, unfortunately. Most of the stages except for the first 2 auto-scroll, which for a run and gun is honestly kind of boring. It's no Metal Slug, but like I said, good for its time. Double Dragon. This title is a one-on-one fighter instead of a beat-em-up. It puts the light and strong punches as buttons A and B and the light and hard kicks as C and D. I personally prefer my light attacks for A and B and the strongs as C and D. The Neo Geo's joystick has the buttons arranged practically in a vertical fashion instead of horizontal, so if I want to concentrate on my strong attacks, well, it's not very comfortable. And of course, SNK never believed in adjustable button configurations. Otherwise, this is a decent game that ties into the Double Dragon movie. Eight Man. Back when I was younger, I saw this one at Pizza Hut or something running through its demo screens. It never really impressed me and I had no desire to play it. Later on in life when I finally did play it, I found it was much more fun than I thought it would be. Gotta be honest though, overall, it's still kind of average. Fatal Fury! This one-on-one fighter was designed by the guy who did the original Street Fighter. In fact, this game was in development at the same time as Street Fighter 2, but it made it out after that one. Fatal Fury's gimmick is switching between the front and back planes, something I never cared much for. Other than that, this is a great early fighting game, much better than the original Street Fighter. Fatal Fury 2. This one has slightly upgraded graphics and music, but the voices are more distorted. The AI is also pretty relentless in this one. I like the additional characters, although I don't feel this one is a huge upgrade over the original. Fatal Fury Special. This is an update to Fatal Fury 2. There are more selectable characters this time out. The gameplay is also slightly faster, and now there's a basic combo system in place. This is the one to get if you feel the need to play a version of Fatal Fury 2. Fatal Fury 3. This is a nice improvement over Part 2 for the most part, in my opinion. The planes have been slightly reworked, but I'm still not sold on the concept. The control seems more responsive and fluid. The characters have all been redrawn and look good, and the sound is great too. This game grades you as you win, and your final enemies depend on your average. I like this one. Fight Fever. This is an MVS-only game. It's a mediocre fighting game if there ever was one. The characters are all fairly generic and the animation is very stiff. Worse yet, the game will either beat you to a pulp without letting you get a single hit in, or it'll just stand there and not fight back while you absolutely destroy it. Not recommended. Flip Shot, or Battle Flip Shot, I don't know. Yeah, the title screen says Battle Flip Shot, but it's most commonly filed under F. And it's another Pong game! It's almost exactly like Bang Bead, but this one just requires you to bust your opponent's thingamajigs and not score a goal after. It also has much better music. Looks like Neo Geo is the hardware of choice for Pong enthusiasts. Football Frenzy. Well, I guess SNK had to have a football game. It's fairly easy to play and overall pretty simple. I never had any success with the running plays. Unfortunately, it just doesn't have the same energy as Baseball Stars Professional or Neo Turf Masters, which I'll talk about later. The graphics aren't bad for an early game though. Galaxy Fight. This one is from Sunsoft and features interplanetary fights. The color palette kind of reminds me of a Genesis game. That's not a knock against it, but there's really nothing Neo Geo about the visuals except for the zooming. Speaking of that, the amount of zooming in this one is quite distracting. As a fighting game, it's decent. Ganryu. This was only available for the MVS. This one is a ninja action platformer. Games from Visco are always interesting on the surface, but sometimes they just don't get it quite right. And this is one of those times. It's fun rescuing hostages and getting new weapons, but the checkpoints are miles apart. The boss fights will certainly reward your quarters though. This one is so close, but not quite there. Garo, Mark of the Wolves. This is actually the last Fatal Fury game, though not alphabetically. In all honesty, it's probably one of the best fighting games on the platform, bar none. It's definitely one of my favorites. I really like the top system where you choose part of your life bar. Once your life gets there during a fight, you can do some powerful moves and even get some of your life back. Not to mention the controls are super smooth, which is impressive given how fluid the animation is. The sound is mostly average for the console, which means it's quite good. I suggest you go down to one of your local thrift stores and pick this one up for $5 and add it to your collection. Ghost Pilots. This vertical shooter is SNK's best imitation of a Toaplan game. It's not bad, and there's really nothing wrong with it as a game. The main problem is that you expect so much more from the Neo Geo, especially back then when the system cost over $600 and the games clocked in at $250 each. At that time, you could buy a better shooter on the Genesis with Fireshark paying $200 for the console and $50 or so for the game brand new. I'm not sure how SNK intended to compete having games like this. Goal! 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 This is a basic soccer game from Visco that only saw a release on the MVS. It plays well enough and it looks pretty good. The game will end automatically rather soon, so you need to be fast unless you've got a lot of quarters. Otherwise, there really isn't anything all that special about it. Guru Rin. This is an MVS-only puzzle game. Despite watching the How to Play segment at the beginning of the game, I have no idea how to play. And I'm totally fine with that. The big gimmick here seems to be the rotation. I've seen and heard better looking and sounding NES games than this. This game is an insult to the Neo Geo. Idle Mahjong Final Romance 2. This is a Mahjong game exclusive to the Neo Geo CD in Japan. You play Mahjong against hot women, I guess. Exciting! Ironclad. This horizontal shooter is exclusive to the Neo Geo CD in Japan, but it'll work on a US Neo Geo CD unit. You fly a plane along with a little unit that you can move around a bit to help defeat your enemies. After each stage, you choose your next area just like Darius. This is a pretty good shooter, I think, especially if you have a Neo Geo CD. Irritating Maze. This is an MVS only game. The main reason for that is because it uses a dedicated cabinet with a trackball. You guide the stick through the maze and you gotta make sure that it doesn't touch any of the walls. If you have a Unibios installed, you can enable joystick play, but good luck. Be careful though, because if you're pregnant, this game may be harmful to you. Just how crazily do they expect pregnant women to be spinning that trackball? Anyway, just like the name suggests, it is quite irritating, but interesting.
Next is the triple windmill.
Jockey Grand Prix. This is a game where you bet on horse races. Place your bet on one of the horses, then passively watch the horses race, then immediately lose. This is what the Neo Geo experience is all about. F you Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. This required its own unique arcade cabinet. Kabuki Clash. This fighter is based on the Far East of Eden franchise. I've loved this one since I first played it on the Neo Geo CD. The characters are all really colorful. Actually, so is most of the game. There are items that get scattered throughout the match that can affect you and your opponent. There's also some really good music. Lots of fun to be had with this one. Karnov's Revenge. You've played Karnov on the NES? Well, now it's time to get revenge. This is a sequel to Fighter's History, which wasn't a Neo Geo game. It's also known as Fighter's History Dynamite. Like Double Dragon, the punches are on one side and the kicks on the other, so it's not ideal. Still, this is a fun game if you're jonesing for some authentic Karnov action. I'd rather play the NES game myself. The King of Fighters 94. This is a crossover game featuring characters from Art of Fighting and Fatal Fury. You choose from pre-selected teams of 3 fighters. You face off against another 3 fighters. You need to kill each of their fighters in 1 round each to win the match. If all 3 of your guys die, you lose. It's a cool concept. The King of Fighters 95. They made these every year for a while, so you might as well settle in. This one feels better than the first. I think that's mainly because you can create your own team of 3 from a ton of different fighters now. This is quite an enjoyable game. The King of Fighters 96. This one feels like a fairly substantial upgrade to 95. There are redrawn character graphics, more moves, and it just seems a bit snappier. You can even control the height of your jumps. These games are getting better and better. The King of Fighters 96 Collection. This Neo Geo CD exclusive is basically extra features for the game. You can preview character artwork, learn more about each character, and even practice your moves. An interesting but ultimately unexciting CD release. The King of Fighters 97. This one adds extra and advanced playstyles which affect some of your techniques. I prefer advanced. Also, not every character has music in this one, as you often just get ambient sound. I never cared for that, but otherwise it's good. The King of Fighters 98. The good news about this one is that the music is back and is pretty darn good. The stages are all new as well, as they usually are in each of these games. Otherwise, it's basically the same as 97. The King of Fighters 99. This one adds the striker system, which lets you choose a 4th character. You can call them in a few times in battle for a quick attack. Is it just me, or is it getting harder and harder to find who I want to choose in time during the character select menu? Geez, give me some more time there. The music in this one is quite good as well. The King of Fighters 2000. SNK wasn't doing very well when this one came out, and it was also the last one of these games made by them. As a result, there were supposedly only 100 English home cartridges made, but even that is debatable. The history on this one is a bit messy. As a game, it's pretty good, though I think I like 99 a hair more. The King of Fighters 2001. This one is made by Eolip. It lets you choose from 4 players and add more strikers from your roster. The series is starting to get a little convoluted with this stuff, and I don't feel it added anything. In fact, I like it less than last year's game. It's still good though. The King of Fighters 2002. This one gets rid of the strikers and returns to the gameplay that's more similar to the King of Fighters 98. That's a good thing, and I like this one more than 2001. Overall, it's a good game, but it doesn't stand out much in this franchise. The King of Fighters 2003. Here it is, the last game of the franchise on the Neo Geo. Is it the best version? Yeah, it just might be. Taking a cue from Capcom, now you can switch back and forth with your other partners at any time. You still have to defeat everyone, but it no longer fades out and starts a new round. The energy and pacing of this game is incredible. My only complaint might be that it's too short. But it's still incredibly fun, and a great swan song for the series on the console. This is also the biggest game on the system, clocking in at 716 mega power! It's also one of my favorite fighting games on the Neo Geo. King of the Monsters. This is a wrestling game inspired by old Japanese monster movies like Godzilla and the like. It's a great concept, battling in the middle of a city destroying things. The gameplay itself is less than exciting though. Even if you completely drain your opponent's life bar, you still need to pin them. And if you do, they can still escape despite having no strength. However, I do like the music in this game. King of the Monsters 2. This is a much better game than Part 1 in my opinion. Now you need to battle through a stage and face the boss at the end of it using similar moves to the first game. However, this one doesn't require you to pin your opponent. The locations you fight in are more interesting and varied, and I love how you can pick stuff up from the landscape and throw it. Great music once again. Kizuna Encounter. This one-on-one fighter allows you to pick 2 characters for a tag team match. You can switch between the characters by pressing the D button if you're in the zone, which is mapped out on the floor. Each character has their own life bar, so if you're getting low, it helps to switch out. Only one character needs to be defeated for the match to end though, which makes things seem pretty short. Not bad, but certainly not as elegant as Capcom's Versus series, which started this same year. The Last Blade. This is a pretty fun weapons-based fighter. I love the graphics and the locales. Of course, you've got to choose to play with the offensive orgy mode. How could you choose anything else? The gameplay itself is fairly simple and it's fun to deflect attacks. My biggest complaint is probably the lack of music in a lot of the stages. The Last Blade 2. This is a pretty good sequel. The stages are all different and the presentation is nicer, but the gameplay is more or less the same. Not that that's a bad thing. Overall, I feel that this is the better game, but you can't go wrong with either. It still needs more music. Last Resort. This is a rather difficult horizontal shooter. It's inspired by R-Type for its gameplay and Akira for its aesthetic. Nothing wrong with either. It can set you back pretty far when you die, and you will die. There's even some fun slowdown and yes, even flicker in the game. Sometimes your entire ship can disappear. It's good, but it's no R-Type. League Bowling. This is a fairly basic and fast-paced bowling game. The controls are easy to understand and anyone can pick it up and play. It's overall an easy game, but tough to get an absolutely perfect game. I'd say that this one is a decent party title. Legend of Success Joe. This game is why they made the Neo Geo. First you play a beat-em-up which destroys Streets of Rage and Final Fight, any of them. Then you play a boxing game that annihilates Punch-Out! Actually, it does none of those things, I'm being a smartass if you couldn't tell. I talked about this one a short while ago back in games that make the console look weak too. And it really does make the Neo Geo look weak. Magical Drop 2. This is a puzzle game from Data East where you grab balloons and then toss them back to match 3 or more of the same color. It plays well, but it gets kind of boring after 3 or 4 minutes, at least for me. It's not really my kind of game. Magical Drop 3. Same concept as the last one, but this one forces an opponent on you. Normally I hate this, but it actually made me prefer this one over Part 2. The stages actually end now and they're not tremendously long. I hate to say it, but I actually enjoyed this one.
No! Nice! Watch out! Go!
Magician Lord. This is an early game that blew me away when the Neo Geo first came out. It looks and sounds incredible and it really showed off the power of the Neo Geo. It's also very tough. The AES version is much more difficult as it implements a checkpoint system. The best way to beat it is to get far in the arcade and use a memory card to continue at home. The AES version has a cool intro that's not even present in the data that's on the MVS cartridge. This game didn't age tremendously well, but I love it anyway. Mahjong Bakatano-sama Manyuki. I think I got that right. That's right, another Mahjong game on the Neo Geo. There are several of these as you might expect. Honestly, I forget how to play Mahjong. The sound is pretty good in this one. Mahjong Kyoritsuden. This is another Mahjong game and it lets you create your own character's face. Then it sings a song as you play. Other than that, well, it's just Mahjong. Mahjong Minisano Okage-sama Desu. This is yet another Mahjong game where you play against wacky characters on a board game setting. Not a whole lot else I can say about this one. Master of Shugi. Well, at least it's not Mahjong, at least not that I know of. But I don't know how to play this game either. Looks like chess, but it's not. I like some of the digitized graphics. Matra Melee. This is a slightly comical fighter from Noise Factory. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but unfortunately it wears out its welcome rather quickly. There are very few different areas to fight in, and you'll see the same stage with minor changes several times per game. The music is actually recorded audio, but in mono with low fidelity, which is something that Noise Factory loves to do. Overall, I'd say that this one is above average. Metal Slug. This run and gun by Nazca was something of a resurgence for the Neo Geo. The action here is incredible, in no small part to all of the fine details everywhere. The sprite animation was unprecedented for its time. It was like nothing most people had seen before. In a time when 3D graphics were taking over the industry, this game forced eyeballs back on the Neo Geo. Everyone needs to play this at least once. Did I say once? I meant 100 times. Metal Slug 2. This sequel adds the ability to be changed into other things like a mummy. You can ride more vehicles, like a camel for instance. You can also choose from 4 different characters now. Overall, it's still a great game, but it's practically crippled by the massive slowdown in many areas.
Flame shot!
Metal Slug X. This is actually an update to Metal Slug 2. For one, they fixed a lot of the slowdown. There's also some updated graphics, new weapons and enemies, slightly changed music, and even a new announcer voice. You can also become fat by eating too much food, which amuses me greatly. This is definitely the version you want to play. Metal Slug 3. This is another great sequel. You're fighting lots of aliens and supernatural things in this one. It also adds some branching paths. They all lead to the same boss, but it does add replayability. The graphics are some of the best ever, and it's the absolute pinnacle of 2D pixel art. Everything else has seen improvements as well. The final stage is probably a little bit too long. I can't recommend this one enough. This is peak Metal Slug right here.
Okay. Heavy machine gun.
Metal Slug 4. This one was developed by Mega Enterprises and Noise Factory after SNK went bankrupt. It's basically just another Metal Slug game, but it's still quite good. The character roster is now a bit different. The music is streamed in mono, but it's also quite good. This game isn't as good as Metal Slug 3, but it's still, well, quite good. Metal Slug 5. This was the final Metal Slug game on the Neo Geo. It's a great game, but honestly, it's my second least favorite in the series right after Part 2. By this point, the assets had all been repeated so much without a lot of new stuff that it just kind of got old. Money Puzzle Exchanger. That's right, you exchange some of your money to play this puzzle game, though I recommend just saving it. It plays kind of like Magical Drop, except I think you have to do math to match the money amounts. This math is way too complex for me, so no thank you. This was only released on the MVS. Mutation Nation. This is an average beat 'em up, except that you're primarily beating up mutants. This helps keep your interest for a bit, as the creatures can look kinda cool, especially the bosses. You have a mega attack you can change, which is determined by the letter you collect. Other than that, it's not tremendously special. Nom 1975. This is another early game on the system. At first, I didn't like it much, but once you get the feel for the control scheme, it quickly becomes very enjoyable. You need to be good at cartwheeling out of the way of enemy attacks. It can sometimes be difficult with how far apart the buttons you need to use are. Good visuals and great music help make this a Neo Geo classic. Oddly, the stereo in this game is reversed. Neo Bomberman. What can I say? It's Bomberman on the Neo Geo. This was only released on the MVS. Bomb the monsters or your opponent to win the stage. It plays well, but I wish the background graphics would change more often. The music is probably some of the best in any Bomberman game. Neo Drift Out. This overhead rally game is probably the best game that Visco has ever made. It's also my favorite overhead racing game by a mile or two. The controls are excellent, and I love how it feels to steer the car. It's also quite challenging, and you can't just keep dropping in quarters to increase your time. However, you can continue and try the course again. I love how it scales in and out as needed. It's not distracting at all, and in fact, it makes it more intense.
Watch out! Oh my God! Right.
Neo Geo CD Special. This was exclusive to the Neo Geo CD in Japan, as you may have figured. Here, you can learn about some SNK releases, listen to some music, and even play some demos. Not really very exciting. Neo Geo Cup 98. Another soccer game. This one plays fine and it's super fun to score goals. I love how the graphics feature a zooming and line-scrolling field. Pretty ambitious stuff and it works well. This one came out after Super Sidekicks 3, which I'll talk about later. It's definitely a good soccer game, though I personally wish it had some cool music. Neo Mr. Do! Visco took the original arcade game from 1982 and updated it for the 90s. How exciting. Basically, you're a clown who digs tunnels and collects items while avoiding enemies. You can sometimes defeat the enemies with balls you toss. This was an MVS only game because who the hell would want to pay $250 for this? Neo Turf Masters. This is probably the best golf video game ever made. Developed by Nazca before they did the Metal Slug games, this actually makes golf exciting even if you don't like golf. The arcadiness of this game can't be denied, and the fast pace does a lot to keep your interest. Not to mention the amazing graphics and super catchy sound and music. It can be tough to get a hole-in-one, but you'll never stop trying. I also like how unrealistic some of these courses are. Nothing but good times here, highly recommended.
Player 1, second shot. Fairway.
Nightmare in the Dark. This MVS-only title is one of those single-screen games where you need to clear out all of the enemies. Throw fire on an enemy for what feels like 900 times and then they turn into a fireball. Toss it to dispose of them and any enemies it touches. It's fun, and there are also lots of boss fights. The game changes areas quickly enough to keep things interesting. The only thing I don't like are some of the distorted sound effects. Ninja Combat. This is one of the earliest games for the system. It's a beat-em-up featuring ninjas. It could have used a lot more time in the oven. One thing that's annoying is that you barely have any invincibility time after taking a hit, so it's quite easy to die. Still, it's no problem to brute force your way to the end with unlimited continues. It was worth playing through once back in 1990. Ninja Commando. This is another ninja game by the developers of Ninja Combat, and it even stars the same main character. This one's an overhead run and gun, and you're a time soldier trying to restore the future. This is definitely a more interesting game than Ninja Combat. I'd say this one is worth playing through even today. Ninja Masters. Yes, with an apostrophe in the title. The third ninja game on this system from the same developer, but this one is a fighting game. You fight with your hands and feet, but you can also pull out a weapon and begin slicing away with that. It's a pretty good game, though I wouldn't put it in the very top tier of Neo Geo fighters. It's better than World Heroes, which I'll get to, and it's the best ninja game on the system. Overtop. This is a racing game similar to Neo Drift Out, but made by the developers of all the ninja games on the system. This is another good one. I'm not sure how games like this are always so great on the Neo Geo. I'd put it behind Neo Drift Out in overall excitement though, but this one is still quite enjoyable. The graphics are very detailed, though they don't scale. The music is kind of relaxing. Try it! Panic Bomber. This title is a match 3 puzzle game by Aiding and Hudson based on the Bomberman franchise. Since it's Bomberman, there are also bombs to help and sometimes hinder you. It forces match play against another player or the CPU. Again, this really isn't my thing, but I do like the music. Pleasure Goal. It's a soccer game. Not really my goal when it comes to pleasure, but hey. This one's made by Saurus, and the field that you play on is tiny. That's probably what they meant by mini soccer at the title screen. Overall, this one plays fine and the music keeps the excitement level up. Not horrible for a soccer game. Pokey and Nya. This is a very strange puzzle game. You don't just match 3, but instead change the pieces to spike balls to make the same color disappear. The more you make go away at once, the more you can harm your opponent. It's okay, but I find that it requires a bit more concentration than regular puzzle games. Pop and Bounce. This game from Video System plays similar to Breakout. It controls surprisingly okay with the joystick. Of course, your play field is only half of the screen since that was the thing that became popular. I recommend using this game to show your friends how much bigger, badder, better the Neo Geo is. Power Spikes 2. This is a volleyball game only for the MVS from Video System. If you want to play it at home, this is also on the Genesis and TurboGrafx 16 as Super Volleyball. It's just that this one is upgraded for the 90s with robots. That's it, really. Not much excitement to be had here. Prehistoric Isle 2. This is an MVS-only horizontal shooter for Mumikobo. All of the visuals are pre-rendered and quite striking to see in action. This must have cost them a ton to render everything out. There's certainly nothing wrong with the gameplay, though there aren't a ton of different power-ups. You also need to rescue and defend humans from time to time. I just wish they had paid as much attention to the sound as they did the graphics, as the audio is quite shrill. Polestar. This is another horizontal shooter featuring pre-rendered graphics, though this one came out 4 years before Prehistoric Isle 2. This is another game that bears a striking resemblance to R-Type. I love this game, though I kind of suck at it. It's quite challenging and it sets you back pretty far when you die, though I love trying again and again. The sound and music are also very good and really set the mood. So, should you buy or rent it? I recommend renting it first to see if it's too tough for you. Puzzle de Pon! This MVS-only game is basically Bust-A-Move or Puzzle Bobble, but from Visco instead of Taito. In this one, you need to free an object that's trapped by the colored thingy things. The graphics and music are both pleasant. It's good if you like this stuff. Puzzle de Pon! R. The R stands for really? This again? Sadly, yes. This is a slight upgrade to the previous game. MVS only once again. Next! Puzzled. This is also known as Joy Joy Kid. The concept is to play Tetris and clear enough blocks to free the balloon at the bottom. I can't tell you how much I absolutely hate this game. Quest of Jong Master, Janshin Densetsu. Here's another Mahjong game, this one exclusive to the Neo Geo CD in Japan. This one tries to add some RPG elements to it, and beating the clothes off of female characters, I guess. Quiz Daisusa-sen. Yay, another quiz game. You again choose 4 different multiple choice answers. This one has some good graphics and music though. I'm surprised so much effort was put into its presentation. Quiz Maitentai Neo and Geo, Quiz Daisusa-sen Part 2. The follow-up to Part 1, and it's another high-quality quiz game. This one even has a shop to help you out. Might be fun if I could read it. Quiz King of Fighters. Yep, it's another multiple choice quiz game. But instead, this one is themed around the King of Fighters. What an amazing time to be alive. Rage of the Dragons. This is a spiritual sequel to the Double Dragon fighting game also on the Neo Geo, though it lost the Double Dragon branding. The controls are much better here, with the weak and strong attacks coupled together on each side of the stick. It's a tag battle game like the Capcom Versus games, and it works well here. As a game, it's quite nice, much more fun than the Double Dragon fighting game. But the sound effects are some of the worst I've ever heard in any game ever made. Way too loud and very distorted. It really brings the experience way down for me. Ragnagard. This is a fighting game that features pre-rendered graphics, and they're not good even for their time. Hell, it doesn't look a whole lot better than Killer Instinct on the Super NES. As a fighting game though, it plays fine if a bit average. You can do some fighting in the air. Unlike Rage of the Dragons, the sound here is pretty good. Some of the music is actually excellent. Real Bout Fatal Fury. Fatal Fury is back and it's better than ever. God, I love this game. You now have fewer attack buttons, but also a button to change planes, which is mostly used to dodge. The attacks in this game feel so good to inflict on your opponent. This one introduces destructible environments and even a ring out system, so be careful. Even the soundtrack is outstanding. The only thing that bothers me about this one is that you have to fight 3 different matches in the same place before you move on. Oh well, at least they're always fun. Real Bout Fatal Fury Special. This isn't just an update of the last game like you might think. Well, it is, but the stages and music are all new and some things have been reworked. There are no longer any out of bounds here, but the environments can still be smashed. Each fight is now on a unique stage instead of 3 per stage. The music isn't as good this time out, but it's still nice. Most importantly, it still has the same fury to the gameplay as the last one. This and the first Real Bout game are definitely in my top 5 favorite fighters for the system. Real Bout Fatal Fury 2. Yet another phenomenal fighting game. Having said that, this is probably my least favorite of the Real Bout games, but it's still tons of fun. The CPU exploits the lane changing a bit too much, and the music isn't as good as the previous 2 games. Still, if you happen to find this abandoned at a bus stop, there's no reason to sneer at it and not take it. Riding Hero. Here it is, the Neo Geo's attempt at a 3D style racing game. There's even an RPG-like story mode in here. What's not here anywhere though are good graphics, sound, and/or gameplay. Super Hang-On it is not. Robo Army. This is another fairly basic beat-em-up for the system. It's not bad though, and the gameplay feels somewhat good. You're a robot and so is everything else, even birds. You want to be the only robot, so you're destroying all of the others. That's really the only way you can feel special. It definitely has those early Neo Geo vibes. You could do worse than this game. Samurai Showdown. Yes, that's how they spell Showdown. This series is also known as Samurai Spirits. This weapons-based fighter was the first entry in another one of SNK's popular fighting series. You have weak, middle, and strong weapon attacks as well as kicks. The ambience is pretty incredible in this game, and there was certainly nothing like it at the time. I personally didn't care for it at first, but it grew on me in a big way over time. This is a great start to the franchise for sure. Samurai Showdown 2. This one builds on the original for a smoother experience, which includes controls that are slightly more responsive, to me anyway. You also have a few more characters and some new moves and dodges. This is a good follow-up and still quite challenging. Samurai Showdown 3. This sequel adds another weapon attack button, so now you have weak, medium, and strong attacks all as their own buttons. As a result, now there's only one button for kick. The graphics have all been redrawn. You also choose between slash and bust modes. I personally like slash. This is another good one in the series. Samurai Showdown 4. This one adds a couple of characters and restores some that were missing in the last game. Gon is blocking in mid-air. However, now you can sometimes do fatalities if you're quick enough on the controls. I really like the visuals in this one. This is also the game that says Victory, a mostly great addition to the series. Samurai Showdown 5. This came out 7 years after Part 4 and made by developer Yuki Enterprise. The controls have changed yet again, requiring you to press A and B together for a strong attack, C is kick, and D does some other stuff like roll. Lots of new characters are here, but gone are the slash and bust modes. It's still a fun game, and everyone should enjoy it. Samurai Showdown 5 Special. Coming out in 2004, this was the final game released for the Neo Geo. It's basically an aesthetic upgrade to Part 5. It also rebalances some of the gameplay. AES aficionados should take note that there are fixed and unfixed versions of the home cart. The fixed versions restore some of the violence that was initially censored, but not all of it, and some of the fixes can look a bit broken. If you have a Unibios, the unfixed version is the one to get, as it can restore everything. You can tell if you have a fixed version by this sticker on the cart. It's still a good game. Samurai Showdown 5 Perfect. I might as well mention this one here. This was made about a year after 5 Special in order to give new stories to the characters and make final adjustments to the gameplay. It was tested in a single location on MVS hardware back then, but SNK pulled it and an official release didn't happen until the Samurai Showdown Neo Geo collection on modern consoles all the way in 2020, 30 years after the Neo Geo was introduced. As a game, it's perfect. Otherwise they couldn't call it perfect. I mean, that's the law. Samurai Showdown RPG. This was exclusive to the Neo Geo CD in Japan. Well, as far as Neo Geo systems go anyway. The only true RPG for the system, and there's a translation that's been in the works for a while. Yes, this game even has random battles. I can't wait to be able to play this in English someday. Savage Rain. Here's a fighter that takes the switching planes from Fatal Fury to a whole new level, literally. In this one, you can jump back and forth between levels. It's pretty cool at first, but eventually it kind of wears out its welcome. Some of the characters are from Kizuna Encounter. I like some of the graphics, and this one is worth playing every once in a while. Sengoku. I've never cared for this game, and I still don't. It's a beat 'em up and you're fighting lots of ancient Japanese characters. Several times per stage, you'll be whisked away to the sky to take care of nonsense up there. Others will help you after you defeat them and you can temporarily change into a new form. The hit detection is pretty bad and you need to be super close to inflict any damage. The animation is also very stiff, but the main problem is that it's just not very fun. Sengoku 2. 2 years later, we got the sequel. The concept here is pretty much the same, but the gameplay itself has been vastly improved. It just feels much better. This one is a time-traveling adventure. Instead of being pushed into the clouds, you now get teleported to different places. Although this is much improved over the original, it's still not a game I'd want to play very often. Sengoku 3. 8 years later, we finally got Part 3 from Noise Factory. This has absolutely nothing to do with the previous 2 games. It's now a fairly straightforward beat 'em up and it's much better for it. The graphics, animation, and the music are all super good. However, I still feel that this one is a bit overrated. As you slice away with your weapon, your character will sheath it after the 3rd or 4th swing. Then there's a delay before you can swing again. Not fun. It gets repetitive as well. Shock Troopers. This is the best overhead run-and-gun game on the system. You can choose Lonely Wolf for your typical 3 lives per continue, or Team to pick from 3 different characters. You can switch between them at will, but they all share the same life bar. The action is intense, the graphics colorful and detailed, and the music is funky. This was available only for the MVS for some reason. I just can't say enough about this one. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Shock Troopers Second Squad. I'm not sure what they were thinking with this one. It is a good game, but it's brought down by several things. 1. All of the graphics have been pre-rendered, making the game look like preschool Shock Troopers or something. Next, there's a massive amount of slowdown that affects nearly the entire game. The voices are hilarious though. Stick with the first game. Soccer Brawl. Another soccer game, but this one is Robo-Soccer. The gameplay is fast, the field is small, and overall it plays okay, but not great. I like the music. Spin Master. This is a fun little platformer from Data East. You control a little yo-yo wielding dude, and you can also use a bunch of other weapons. You'll be switching them out a lot. Each weapon also has its own special attack. There are some auto-scrolling stages here and there as well. The graphics, music, and control are all good in this title. I really like how the enemies sound moderately inconvenienced when you hit them. Stakes Winner. This is a horse racing game. You actually get to control the jockey in this one and not just bet on the horse. Better than I thought it would be, but still only okay. Stakes Winner 2. Yeah, there was an exciting sequel. This one changes the control up slightly, adding a boost button and making you mash the A button. Still, it's only okay. I'm not sure who would want this. Street Hoop. This is a surprisingly fun basketball game by Data East. It's 3-on-3 and it plays in a similar fashion to the likes of NBA Jam. Lots of energy in this one. You really can't go wrong here even if you don't like basketball. Recommended for sure.
Downtown! 3-point basket upset!
Strikers 1945 Plus. This is a vertical shooter from Psycho and a remake of Strikers 1945 2. In this one, the bullets are pink and blue, making them much easier to see. The gameplay is only a bit above average though, and not Psycho's best. That said, it's better than Ghost Pilots. The graphics are detailed, but quite muted, which helps the bullets stand out even more. This one was only released on the MVS. Super Dodgeball. This game from Technos is a huge upgrade over the NES version. Toss the ball to take out each of your opponents and try to catch it when they throw it at you. Each player has their own segment of the life bar. Even when they get knocked out, they can still participate outside of the playfield. The music is quite excellent as well. The only thing I don't care for is the constant zooming in and out of the screen. This was also only released on the MVS. Super Sidekicks. Yep, it's a soccer game. It's just as difficult as real soccer too. The field gently zooms in and out a bit. The music is nice, but I still got bored after a few minutes. Super Sidekicks 2. For some reason, they felt a sequel was needed. This is very similar to Neo Geo Cup 98, but slightly less good. That's because this game came out 4 years earlier, I suppose. Still decent. Super Sidekicks 3. This is almost the exact same game as Neo Geo Cup 98. The music is different when there's music, and of course the title screen is different, and I guess some of the teams are different. Otherwise it's identical as far as I care to tell. The Super Spy. This is a first-person beat-em-up that's fairly unique. It kind of plays like Crossed Swords, but not as good. You can punch, kick, and use weapons, but some of the weapons weaken the more you use them. It's a great showcase of the Neo Geo scaling capabilities though, and I was really impressed back when it was new. The main problem here though is the extreme repetition. SVC Chaos SNK vs. Capcom. SNK and Capcom struck a deal to feature each other's fighters in their games. This is what SNK made. It's neat to see all of the Capcom fighters drawn in the SNK style. But as a game, it can't even hope to come close to Capcom stuff, and this title really proved who was better at making fighting games. It's extremely unbalanced. For example, all this guy does is spam his Coco Disco move again and again. Coco Disco, Coco Disco, Coco Disco. Jeez, where's the power button? Tecmo World Soccer 96. Yay, another soccer game! The visuals in this one look fairly average, though the screen zooms in and out on occasion. The gameplay threw me off at first because the pass and shoot buttons are the exact opposite of every other soccer game on the console. Once you get used to it, it plays okay. I just wish that Tecmo had made Ninja Gaiden for the Neo Geo instead of this. Thrash Rally. Yet another overhead racing game on the system. It's also the weakest. The visuals are very basic and nothing the Super NES couldn't do, even with the occasional scaling, which is cool. The music is pretty good though, and the game handles well. It's easy to respond to upcoming corners in time. This one is still better than most top-down racing games on other platforms. Top Hunter. This is a platformer from SNK themselves. The gimmick here is that you can jump back and forth between layers with the press of a button. SNK sure loved having different layers and planes in their gameplay, didn't they? You can punch, throw things, get power-ups, and even ride in vehicles. I feel the graphics should be more colorful and less muted for such a game, but that's kind of SNK's modus operandi. Still, you could certainly do worse than this one. Top Players Golf. This was the biggest game on the Neo Geo for a while, clocking it at
62 mega power! Oh my god!
It can't touch Neo Turf Masters, but it's not a bad game of golf once you get used to it. There's a lot of voice in this one, which blew me away back when this was new. The graphics are nice as well, and I always loved the scaling. Twinkle Star Sprites. This is a vertical shooter which has the aspects of a puzzle game. Basically, you're trying to beat your opponent on the other side of the screen. Getting chains and whatnot will send attacks to your opponent which may damage them. Whoever loses all of their hearts first loses the stage. It's definitely a unique take on a shooter if I ever saw one, and it's rather addictive. However, I've gotta admit that sometimes I'm not sure how I actually win. The graphics are bright and colorful, and there's also plenty of slowdown and flicker. The music is also quite good and very fitting. Go out and buy this one right now. Ultimate 11. Can you believe it? Another soccer game! This is sometimes known as Super Sidekicks 4. The gameplay feels a bit less arcadey than the other Super Sidekicks games, but it's still good. There's also lots of pre-rendered scenes that play out for you to be absolutely amazed by. Well, are you? This is probably the best soccer game on the system, and it had damn well better be too, as it goes for thousands of dollars on the AES.
Go, 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 go! Go!
Viewpoint. Here's a shooter that takes place in an isometric playfield, which can make it a bit awkward to play. It also features the first pre-rendered graphics on the Neo Geo, if not any system ever. It looks and sounds great, but boy oh boy is this one tough. It really stood out back when it was new, though I think you should give it at least 2 tries. I say 2, because you're going to get your ass kicked on the first try. V-Liner. This is a game I can't even play on my MVS as none of the buttons work. It's basically a slot machine game that requires its own dedicated cabinet with some extra wiring for payouts and the like. That's all I can really say. Voltage Fighter Gaokaiser. This is a fighting game, if you couldn't tell by the title. It's mostly standard fare for the system, which is to say it's good. After you win a match, your opponent offers to give you one of their moves. Then you can use it in future matches. Be careful though, because you can only hold one extra move at a time, so if you learn a new one, it replaces the old one. The graphics, artwork, and music are all quite good. The only things I could wish for are more frames of animation and also less extreme zooming of the screen. Waku Waku 7. This is a fun fighting game from Sunsoft. The characters are all very cartoony, as are the colors. As with most fighting games on the system, the colors of the stage change between rounds to indicate the passage of time. As a fighting game, it's pretty responsive, though you can do better on the system. All in all, it's a nice effort from Sunsoft and certainly better than their Galaxy Fight game. Windjammers. This is another Pong game for the Neo Geo. This is the best one though, and it's full of energy. As a 2-player game, it is absolutely outstanding. As a single-player game, not so much. The main problem is that the AI is way too good, even very early in the game. With another human, you stand a chance, and it's addictive to try to see who can win the most matches. But playing a single player, yeah, no thanks. World Heroes. This is a mediocre fighting game. You only have 3 buttons to worry about: punch, kick, and throw. Aside from some nice colors here and there, there's not much to say about this one other than it's kind of boring. World Heroes 2. For some reason, they wanted to make a sequel. This time the throw button has become the body slam button. Be careful when you press it though, because if you're not successful, you do a taunt which leaves you vulnerable. The graphics and sound have improved a bit, but make no mistake, it's still a bottom shelf fighting game. World Heroes 2 Jet. The slightly increased speed of this one does make it a little less boring. I still can't say I'm much of a fan though. The music is pretty good, but only one song plays in the non-tournament mode, which is the closest thing to a normal stage structure that this game offers. World Heroes Perfect. That's a lie, it's not perfect. They should be sued. However, it's definitely the best World Heroes game, though that's not saying much. It has real controls now, and the punches and kicks are on their own side, which I kind of dislike, but it's still better. The background graphics are awesome, though the character graphics haven't changed much, if at all, since the first game. It's better, and almost on the caliber of an average fighting game on the system, but just below. Z-Blade. This one is a horizontal shooter. It's not bad at all, though some elements of the gameplay feel a tad basic. It's hard to describe why. Still, it has decent graphics, and I think this might be the only Neo Geo game that does segmented sprites like this. The music is often 90s rave style stuff. It's not all great, but a lot of it's pretty good. The gameplay is smooth as well. This was only ever released on the MVS. Zin Trick. This sample CD is an exclusive for the Neo Geo CD in Japan. It's a puzzle game similar to Puyo Puyo where you need to match up the 3 jelly blobs to make them disappear. You're fighting an opponent while you do this because of course. What's weird is that it's sideways for some reason. Still though, there's not much special here. I'd rather play Puyo Puyo. Finally, we have Zoo Papa! This MVS-only title is a single-screen action game where you need to clear it of all the enemies. To do so, you just need to punch them and then touch them. Poof, they're gone. You can also pick up the little guys so you can attack the enemies from afar. Of course, there are boss fights for each world. Overall, it's pretty fun, though the sound does get rather annoying after a bit. Still, overall, this is a good time.